And I'll share my screen. Here we go. Let me just get all my windows open. And I can see who's waiting. Okay. Okay, so this is our 8th class, which seems amazing. I can't believe it's nearly the end of August already. And we've talked a lot about symptoms and treatments and lifestyle tips, exercise and diet, and a lot of practical things. I think last time it was stress. I was trying to remember earlier. I think last time it was stress. So kind of continuing on that theme, I want to talk about what goes on in our heads, because for me at least, that's been a huge part of it for me, and certainly in the early years. I think I've probably been about 4 years into perimenopause now, approximately. And I think at first, a lot of my challenges was mindset, kind of accepting that I was in menopause, after not really thinking about it at all and not knowing much about it, not having discussions with my mum or anyone else. So it was definitely a big challenge for me. My mindset at first, sort of inner dialogue that we all have, what we think about menopause, how we perceive menopause, what we previously understood menopause to be. And I do think that what we think about it and what we say to ourselves kind of shapes the experience that we have in a big way. Obviously, symptoms, when you're really struggling, it doesn't matter what you think. If you're having a real problem with symptoms, then that's different. But I think looking at mindset as an aside, it can play a massive part in how you feel and how you deal with what's happening. And it's not about pretending that everything's fine, because sometimes everything absolutely isn't fine. And it's not about being unrealistically positive, but it's about trying to change the way that we think about things and the way that we speak to ourselves without just putting a false positive spin on it, and doing things that can actually be quite helpful sometimes, because our inner dialogue can be very critical at times, and that can just make things even worse. So let's get into it. I just wanted to start because I speak to quite a lot of women, obviously because of what I do, and there are some common things that come up a lot. I've just put 3 of them here. I used to think that menopause meant the end of being me, which is absolutely one of the things that I first thought when I first was told that what was happening was menopause. I was like, okay, well, is that it now? Am I over and done with? Am I no longer necessarily? Am I no longer needed? And it just felt like the end of something. Even I don't have children. I've never wanted children, so it's not like I was mourning the end of my fertility or anything like that. It just, I think it was because of the stereotypes that we've probably all heard. It seemed like, does that mean I'm old? Am I past it now? There are lots of similar phrases that ladies say to me, but they're all very similar. And some women say that they feel invisible, like aging as we get older. People don't perceive us the way they did when we were younger. You feel like you're just kind of existing and not really living. And a lot of women don't talk about it. They don't express how they're feeling. They don't talk about their struggles, their symptoms, how they're getting on. And they just try and get through it. Put a smile on their face, go to work every day, go about their day every day, but inside they're actually struggling. So I just get someone else in. Inside they're actually really struggling, but they don't reach out for help, and they just try and get on with it, which can also make things worse as well. So I'm assuming that some of that will sound familiar to some of you. Join in if you want, chime in, put something in the chat. But for me, a lot of those are very familiar and very common with a lot of the women that I speak to. And it can make it really difficult for us. If you're battling with yourself as well as battling with the symptoms, it can just make everything seem a whole lot worse. And for me, I'm not saying I'm over it, that my mindset is perfect and all rosy. It's absolutely not. I definitely have times and days and weeks where I just feel really down on myself and things just seem really hard and it's not fair. Why do I have to go through this? But I do try to not think and speak like that when I've got the energy to kind of do that. And it has made a difference. I've done a lot of work on my mindset probably over the last year, 18 months or so. And it's something that I do focus on when I'm doing coaching as well. As I said at the start, I think that mindset is a huge part of this without making it all fluffy and falsely positive. And I think, I don't know about you, but when I first started doing this coaching a few years ago, and particularly when I'm posting on my own social media accounts and following lots of other people, I got absolutely fed up of hearing the phrase surviving. It's thriving and not surviving. It's something that's thrown about on social media a lot without sort of knowing what it really means in real life. And I know a lot of the time, like I've said, I don't feel like I'm thriving. But I think surviving for a lot of us is just getting through the day, getting through the week, getting through whatever it is that you need to do, putting up with things because you don't have the energy really to make things better, holding it all together for yourself or for your family or for others at work, just basically ticking boxes of things that we need to do or things that we think we should do, being there for everybody else, your family, your friends, work again, and just doing the best that we can with what we've got. That's kind of the definition, I think, of surviving through this. And it can be difficult to get out of that mindset. Sometimes we just don't have the energy to do anything but get through some days. But thriving, I think, it's not necessarily about it being perfect and having everything figured out and suddenly your life's amazing. Not at all. It's more about feeling a bit more in control and being able to do things that give you a bit more control. Maybe it's just feeling a little bit more grounded each day, feeling a little bit less anxious each day, feeling a bit more connected to yourself, putting less pressure on yourself. Just simple things. There's no magic formula to it. And obviously thriving can mean different things to different people. It can just be doing regular exercise, which makes you feel good in your mind, not just in your body. Improving your diet, you feel better that you're looking after yourself. Going out for a walk, it can just be simple things so that you don't feel like you're just kind of struggling under the weight of symptoms and life. So there are lots of things that we can do, and incorporating a few of those without putting pressure on yourself to do those can be really effective in boosting your mindset. It's not going to be an instant, suddenly you feel amazing, but I think if you do some things that are for you and you know that you're doing them for you, it kind of has a cumulative effect. I've found I have massively improved my diet over the last 6 months or so. I'm doing regular exercise, strength training and walking. And I'm also taking time out to just relax or take a break when I feel tired or run down. And it's made a big difference. And I think it is the mindset part of it. Obviously, the physical side of it with the exercise and the food is great. But I think it's just the fact that I know I'm doing these things for me that's helped with my mindset quite a lot, actually. So I've called this thought bingo. And again, these are a list of thoughts that I hear so regularly when I'm even just talking to friends and people that I know, not just in coaching, sort of professionally, just people that I've got around me that are a similar age and that are going through it as well. But definitely in coaching, specifically when I get new clients and I ask them what's going on for them, how do you feel? What are things that you want to improve? What are you not dealing with? I'm not coping is so common. Women feel so guilty about this as well. They feel like they're letting other people down. They feel like they're not coping and they're just completely overwhelmed with everything that's happening, particularly ladies that have kind of just found out that what's been going on with them is menopause. They kind of have a little bit of a sense of relief that they know what it is, but also they're just totally not coping with the symptoms, but also the knowledge now that's what it is, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. I feel broken, something that I get a lot. Mental health problems, physical problems, not sleeping, anxiety, absolutely exhausted, and it is just they just feel completely broken. There's not a single part of them that they feel good about, and everything is just a struggle. I should be handling this better, similar to I'm not coping. And again, the pressure, why can't I handle this? They might have friends or family members that seem to be sailing through menopause, but they're not, and they just feel like they're failing because they can't handle it. And again, the I'm failing goes hand in hand with that, and it's so common, the amount of women that feel guilt and have added pressure just from themselves because there's this, oh, well, you should be able to handle this, and they can. And why should we be able to handle it? It's a very, very difficult time, but it's so common for women to feel like that. I don't feel like myself is exactly what I said when I went to see my doctor, and then afterwards, when I was trying to explain it to other people, it's exactly the thing I said. Excuse me. Just didn't feel like me anymore. I just felt like the old me had disappeared. I used to have fun, be funny, be spontaneous, have lots of energy, do lots of exercise, worked hard, and then suddenly I'm like, I've got absolutely no energy, I've got no motivation, I don't want to see anyone, and I just felt like, where's this person gone? I don't know who I am anymore. I thought I had early onset. Yeah, the brain function and cognition can be quite scary if it's bad. Mine's improved recently, and I don't know whether it's just with the exercise or the diet, but for a few months ago, my memory and recollection of facts and names and sentences, it was just awful. So I can imagine for anyone who has it really bad, it can feel like early onset dementia. And I know that lots and lots of women do say that. And I imagine that can be quite scary. No one gets it. Very similar to some of the others. It can be quite hard to explain to other people, and men obviously, but younger women who have not reached this point yet, it can be really hard to explain how bad it can be. They don't understand, they probably don't know much about hormones, they don't know much about menopause like I didn't. So it's really hard trying to explain to some people. Perhaps you don't want to explain, but just like no one gets it, you feel like you're on your own because no one seems to know what you're going through. I'm too emotional is also really common. Lots of crying, maybe shouting, maybe getting angry, reacting to things, which can just come out of nowhere. You can be having a perfectly okay day and then suddenly blow up at something, or you get upset at something that seems insignificant. So that's really, really common as well. And I'm being dramatic, which can be towards some symptoms. It can be like you just feel like you've been really overly dramatic about maybe having a hot flush or something like that, or it might be in certain situations similar to the emotions. You might react or blow off the handle at something. I do get that sometimes. That's one of my, touch wood, lesser symptoms or causes of it. But I know lots of women struggle with rage and feeling like that they're overreacting to certain things. So I guess, again, a lot of these will sound familiar to you. Does anyone want to jump in and say, do you still have these now, or were these more so when you first went into perimenopause? Do you get a lot of it still now? I get some of them still. It doesn't help that for me, these happen on high stress. Yeah, I mean, because of the job I do, I'm not tied to like 9 to 5 going into work and having the awful pressures of a very stressful job. But I know women who have that, and probably some of you, the high stress of work, high stress of family pressures on top of, and then menopause on top of this, it can just feel completely overwhelming, completely. I've been really thankful that I started going through menopause whilst I was not in an office environment, because I have no idea how I would have coped if I'd been in an office environment. So yeah, really difficult. What's happening now, 4 years post-menopause? So still feeling like what way after post-menopause as well. Lots of these. Will it stop? You know what? I hope so. I mean, I do still speak to women who are post-menopause, not as many, but some, and they do say some of this eases off as our hormones levels start to balance out post-menopause. But yeah, I hope so too. I hope it stops or gets easier, let's say. So we can all recognize these. They all sound familiar to a lot of us, these hot flushes and the depression. Yeah, you know what? I was on antidepressants before I found out I was in menopause, and then gradually got off them when I saw a decent doctor and the HRT significantly improved my depression and anxiety. More so than the antidepressants. I think I was misdiagnosed. So yeah, the HRT helped me a lot. Have you a video on HRT? I can probably find something and send it to you, Lucy. Lucy, if you want that, do you want to, if you're okay to share your email address, I can find something and send it to you afterwards. I don't know if I've got a video, but I've certainly got some information on HRT I can send you separately if you're happy to do that. The rage was red flag for me that made me think I was right. Yeah, yeah. Rage is a huge factor. I don't get it a lot, thankfully, but I do sometimes feel myself getting fired up. And I've never been an angry person, so whether that's menopause or me just being irritated by people, I'm not so sure. But yeah, thanks, Lucy. I'll save that and I'll send it to you afterwards. So what was I saying? So yeah, obviously these sound familiar. They're very, very common, but lots of women look at these as a failure, that we're not coping, that we should be able to do better. But it's not a weakness. It's absolutely not a weakness. We go through a lot, and it's so common. But it's so easy for these thoughts to then become our internal soundtrack, to be there. And then it kind of forms a habit that these then become our daily thoughts and our daily internal dialogue. Just because you feel like you're not coping, for example, doesn't mean that you're not. And there are different ways of looking at that and different ways of portraying that to ourselves so that we don't form a negative habit with the words that we say into ourselves. And that's what I want to look at. So where did all of this come from? Where did we get these beliefs from? Where did we get, for example, the stigma that menopause came with? I think it's less so now. And I think a lot of it is because we've absorbed messages from others, maybe subconsciously. Obviously, I don't really remember any conversations with my mum about menopause, and obviously when I was younger, I had no idea. But I think we probably have just sort of subconsciously absorbed messages over decades, over years, certainly from our mothers or grandmothers who probably didn't talk about it. In the workplace, we all know there's a culture of just getting on with stuff, putting up with stress, being rewarded for high achieving and just getting on with stuff. You might have had doctors who have completely dismissed your symptoms, or only focused on a certain thing and not looked at it holistically. And then obviously social media and marketing, where so many people are now coming out with solutions and supplements and try this gimmicky thing, constantly showing us videos of how to look younger and staying more productive. So there's so many things in our external environments that can really drive these messages. Excuse me, really drive these messages. And I think we've probably also internalized a lot of it, and internalized that we think we should just keep going, we shouldn't complain, we should just get on, hold everything together, and we absolutely should not ask for help, because I think we're all from that generation where we've just got on with stuff and helped ourselves and don't ask for help. So all of this combined, all of those beliefs, layered in with the hormonal changes that we're going through, the exhaustion, the brain fog, it's no wonder that we have these thoughts. It's no wonder that we feel like we're not doing enough. But they're not true, usually. Obviously, sometimes we're not coping and we might have a breakdown and we need to take a break and we need to rest. But usually it is the internal dialogue that's kind of twisting the actual truth. These are kind of stories that we've told ourselves. And we can work with those to shift what we say to ourselves. So I'm going to do breakout rooms. I can figure out how to do it. I think we've got enough people. There are 3 prompts. I give you 8 to 10 minutes or so. I might try and jump into the rooms if I can figure out how to do that as well. No pressure. If you don't want to share anything, fine. You just sit and listen to others. We can have a chat about what you've discussed when you come back. if you feel okay sharing, I would encourage you to do, because I find it helps to share what I'm thinking with others, because it just makes me realize that I'm not the only one who's thinking it, that I'm not going crazy, that actually I am doing okay. So yeah, let's have a go. Let me just figure this out. Breakout rooms, here we go. So I'll do these. How many people have we got? 12. I'll just do 2 rooms. No, I'll do 3 rooms. And I'll see you when you come back. Mm. Is everyone back? I can't quite tell. I think mostly. How did you find that? Were you able to have a discussion?
Yeah, a bit of a discussion.
Yeah. I always find it helps me when I think I've said in sessions before, I'm not very good at opening up about how I feel and what's going on. I tend to just keep everything to myself. But when I do, I usually find that it benefits me.
Uh,
Okie dokie. All right, let's carry on. So obviously we've talked about some of the things that we do think, but what we think definitely has an impact on
yeah,
how we feel and how we behave as well. So just taking the I'm not coping as an example, we think that, and it may be a prevalent thought, it might be something that we think regularly, and that can leave us feeling completely overwhelmed, leaving us with anxiety, leaving us feeling depressed, really down, really low. And with those feelings, you might go like me, you might go into yourself, you might revert into yourself and not reach out to people. You pull away from people, you stop asking for help. And that cycle then leaves you feeling more and more isolated and can reinforce that belief that you're not coping because you gradually get lower and lower and lower. So the loop just continues. And that's just one example. Obviously, whatever the thought is, it can then cause us to feel a certain way and for us to act in a certain way. And then we just get caught in this loop, in this cycle. And again, using me as an example, I know that that happens with me. When I don't reach out, when I don't speak up, when I keep everything to myself, I end up feeling worse and worse, gradually worse and worse. It just continues. So if we can try and train ourselves to catch that thought early on and change the loop, even just changing it slightly, we may then feel differently and then we may act or behave in a different way. So we stop the loop. And it can take practice, absolutely does take practice. But if we can try and catch that thought as early as possible, it can definitely change the outcome and change the way we feel. So instead of, oh God, I'm not coping, it could be changed just to, this is hard, but I'm doing my best right now. And then you maybe won't feel quite as overwhelmed, you won't feel as low, you won't feel as anxious, you won't feel as guilty, whatever it is that that thought in that cycle causes you. If you just change the way that you say it, so I'm not coping to, yeah, this is hard, but I'm doing the best I can right now, then you possibly feel a bit calmer, not as overwhelmed. You might not have as much anxiety. You maybe won't be as less critical on yourself. And it might lead to a different action then. Instead of withdrawing into yourself, instead of not reaching out, instead of isolating yourself, you may then feel able to speak to someone about it. Or you might just take a break instead of spiraling into that thought process where you just feel even more isolated. You might just think, okay, well, I just need a break. And that's a positive thing instead of just that spiraling. So it can be quite simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it does take practice because we all know sometimes when we get those thoughts in our head, it can very, very easily spiral into lots of other negative things. So it does take practice. But I do find that it helps me. I do have to practice it. And on days where I'm having a really bad day, it might not work. But there are days where it absolutely does. So I do think it's something that we can practice. And there is a lot of science behind it. It's part of NLP, it's part of psychotherapy. Lots of therapists use it. And it's just catching that thought when you know you're having that thought and you know where that can lead. I think that's the important part of it as well. You know from practice, you know from history, you know from yourself. Once you get in that thought process, you know where that can lead. If you can catch that thought and stop that loop, stop that spiral, it can have a different outcome. So easy in theory, maybe not so easy in practice. We all know that our mindset matters. We're not silly, we're intelligent people. We know that what we say to ourselves really matters and can be damaging or can be positive. But like we've said, when you're feeling exhausted, when you're snapping, when somebody constantly needs something from you every 5 minutes, it can be hard to apply. You don't have the mental energy to kind of consciously think, okay, what's going on now and what can I do? Sometimes you just can't do it. So it needs to be simple, not fluffy, not spiritual, just something that you can do. So catch the pattern. Notice the thoughts. Do you have something that's really common for you, something that comes up all the time, again and again and again? Are you someone who catastrophizes? I can be. Are you someone that blames yourself a lot, even though you know really deep down that you're not to blame? Are you someone that withdraws and shuts down? Work out, if you can, what your most common negative thought, if you like, is, what your most common spiral is, and then try and catch it in that moment. Next time you're feeling like that, if you've got the capacity, catch that, think, okay, what's actually really going on now? What's truth? Not the emotion that I'm feeling, not the fear, not the anxiety, just what is the actual situation? What's going on? And it could be there's lots going on. You might have just snapped at somebody, you might have burst into tears. It could be something, a reaction or a thought that's going in your head that you have regularly. But it could just be that you're tired. That could just be the truth. And you just need to recognize, okay, it's not because I'm not coping. I'm actually tired. That's why I feel like this. It's not because I can't cope. It's not because I'm not broken. I'm tired. And then that gives you that fact there to hold on to. This is why I'm like this. I'm not useless. I'm tired. So it gives you that fact to hold on to. And then if you're in a situation or a circumstance where you can, think of one small thing that you can do that's a positive, that you can do right now in that situation. If it is because you're tired, it could be that you just go away and do nothing for 10 minutes, do absolutely nothing and just take a break. If you've been upset or you feel overwhelmed, can you get outside for 5-10 minutes? Another one, if you're feeling overwhelmed, is there something you can say no to? Because that's what sparked this thought. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed because you're running late and you've got to sort out tea for everybody at home, is there someone else that can do it? Possibly not. It might not be practical. There might not be nobody else that can do it, but a similar situation. Figure out what it is that's actually made you think like that. And think of something small, something suitable that you can do that's going to get your mind away from that. Like I said, just taking a break for 5 minutes does work. I do that. I take myself off to a different room, even just a change of environment. If I'm in the living room with my husband and I'm suddenly feeling agitated or I'm having negative thoughts, I'll sometimes just go sit in the bedroom and listen to a podcast or read for 5-10 minutes. And it's breaking that cycle. It's actually doing something that breaks that cycle as well. So you're not just recognizing the thought pattern, you're not actually just working out what it actually is, not the thought, but the actual situation, and then trying to do something about it. And that all helps with breaking that pattern. Do you all think that you'll be able to do that? Do you think you can give it a go? It does work.
Yeah,
It does work.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Give it a go. And it does take practice. I'm not going to say the first time you do it, you're going to suddenly feel amazing, because you possibly won't, probably won't. But with practice, I have honestly found it helps for sure. All right, I think we're nearly at the end. Yeah, I just wanted to put some of these in because, as I said at the beginning, thriving can sound very fluffy and very Instagram. And in reality, we know it's not. It's not. It doesn't mean having glowing skin or perfect hair or going to the gym every day or being productive all day long. It's not. It's real life things that we can try and do for ourselves in our normal everyday lives. So it could be just saying no to something or someone without feeling guilty about it. I'm terrible at this. I am terrible at this. I'll quite often agree to stuff that I don't really want to do because I feel guilty. So this is a tough one. That is a tough one. But if we can try with small things maybe first, just to get into a little bit of confidence about doing it, then it can help. Doing something that's just for you and not explaining why you're doing it. Whatever it is that you fancy doing. If it's going to bed at 7 o'clock because you want to, and you don't want to say why you're doing it, then do it. It's just these little things that give you a bit of something for you rather than thinking about everybody else. Giving yourself space and permission to feel awful, if that's what you feel that day.
Yeah.
If you want to cry or you want to shout, give yourself permission and space to do it, if that's what you feel like you need to do. And then get up the next day, hopefully feeling a bit better because you've allowed yourself to have those feelings without guilt. What else? Choosing rest over productivity. Sometimes we just try and get on with stuff. We know we're not feeling great. We've got a massive to-do list. We've got loads of things to do, and we just try and get on with it and sometimes end up feeling worse. So maybe take something off your to-do list if you're able to. Obviously, sometimes we can't, but it's just about listening to yourself, to your mind and your body, and sometimes just giving it what it needs, even if that might be a little bit tricky. This one, laughing, even if everything is a mess. Sometimes you have to laugh while you cry, but it can be quite therapeutic as well. Not explaining yourself, I think I've said that one. Having one honest conversation instead of pretending. So maybe if someone asks you how you are, maybe tell them instead of saying, yeah, I'm fine. Sometimes that can be quite therapeutic as well. They might not want to listen, but you might just think, well, okay, I'm gonna get this out of me. I think that's the point. So there are things, obviously these are not always appropriate, some of these, but whatever you can sometimes, and it's all building on that mindset of trying not to always listen to those negative thoughts and doing the mindset work, the sort of catching the thought and reframing that thought, as well as some of these other things, building on them. Coping tools, yeah, Amanda, they are coping tools. They all build on it, and I think gradually over time you will notice a positive difference if we just try some small things. Not every day if you can't every day, but just try a few different things, because they really do matter. Okay, I want to end on something a little bit more calming. Close your eyes if you want to, if you can. You don't have to. And I want you to think of a critical thought that's been perhaps living in your head lately, something that regularly shows up for you, something that your mind regularly defaults to, something that's maybe constantly on loop in the background for yourself. Try and think of something. I'll just give you 30 seconds to think of something. Doesn't matter what it is. And now what I want you to do is imagine that it's someone you love or someone you care about that is saying that about themselves. How would you feel? And what would you say? You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to say it to me, nothing. Say it to yourself. What would you say to her or them? And then if you can, say those words back to yourself as though you're saying them to yourself. And how does that feel? Because we're so critical of ourselves, and we would not speak to ourselves the way we would speak to others. No way. And I think this is really powerful. Somebody said this to me years ago, and it's really stuck with me. And it's so true. We would never speak to someone else the way we speak to ourselves. So I just think it's really important to kind of keep that in mind. Write it down, keep it with you. Something reminds you to be a little bit kinder to yourself when things are tough. I think it's a really powerful thing. So I think that's it, ladies. I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've got a few tools there that you can try. They do work. I have tried them all. They do work. Well, maybe not all, but I've tried a lot of them, and they do work. It does take practice, but yeah, it does work. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
really
Great.
helpful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and hope to
Thank
see you
you.
next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks.